Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to Under the Gun. I'm your host, Jon Friedberg, and we're out of the studio today and inside of Kathy Liebert's house. Kathy has agreed to let my camera crew and myself come over to her place and talk to her about her recent induction into the Women in Poker Hall of Fame, as well as quite a few other things about her accomplishments, her opinions, etc. So, on that note, I'm not going to have all of my segments today. I will not be giving an update on my Under the Gun challenge or doing the Am I an Idiot segment. However, we will get back in the studio next week, and of course I'll go over a hand for you in the Am I an Idiot segment, as well as discuss progress on my Under the Gun challenge. So remember, send in any questions you have, along with any hands that you'd like for me to review, to underthegun@cardplayertv. So with that said, let's have Miss Kathy Liebert on. Kathy Liebert, thank you so much for letting us come over to your very nice house.
Hi, John.
And spend a little time with you.
Well, you kept telling me we were going to play tennis, and that never happened, so I figured it was time to have you over.
Well, maybe we'll think of something else, some other challenge here.
Okay.
I have to say I'm not surprised that we're sitting on a purple couch right now.
Oh, is it purple? I didn't even notice.
I mean, it's pretty purple.
Yeah, it's kind of on the purple shade. You're right.
So everyone, I mean, you sort of have a reputation for wearing a lot of purple, right?
Yeah, that is true.
And many people know about a prop bet that Phil Ivey offered you. I think you said something about he kept offering numbers up to 20,000 for you not to wear purple for an entire
Phil Ivey
year.
noticed that I wore purple to poker tournaments most of the time, and he offered me 5,000 not to wear purple for a year. And I said no. And then he said 10, and I said no. And then I was like, well, for 20 I might have been tempted. And he goes, okay, 20. And I'm like, oh, well, no.
Now, is purple is it a lucky color for you?
Well,
20,000 is a lot of money.
Well, I've done really well over the last 15 years playing poker, and I've worn predominantly purple for the last 15 years. So is it the color that's lucky? I don't know, because this year I've been wearing purple at the World Series, and actually I've had my worst year in I don't know how long. I mean, I'm constantly making hundreds of thousands every year over the last 15 years. But this year I haven't, so now the purple might not be as important. Like you saw me in black the other day, and you were like, what? What's going on here? So, but... since Phil Ivey offered me 20,000, I didn't take it. I have to keep wearing purple. I mean, why stop wearing it if I'm not even going to get paid big bucks for it?
That's true.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe you've been running bad all this time. Maybe this is your way of running bad. Maybe purple's an unlucky color for you.
Well, I mean, poker is streaky, and certainly I've worn purple and won and worn purple and lost. So I guess that's not either lucky or unlucky. But I like the color, and I have a lot of nice clothes that are mostly purple. I have gone shopping and bought a few new outfits. Some of them are not purple, but I don't know if we'll see them at any final tables, but we'll see.
We'll see. So just last week you were inducted into the Women in Poker Hall of Fame.
Just a few days ago. Yeah.
Congratulations on that. Huge accomplishment. And just over here is your display case that has many trophies. I had no idea you had so many titles under your belt.
Yeah, well, I've been playing for 15 years. I've played a lot of tournaments. As you know, I've just played my 100th WPT tournament. Mm-hmm. And I did make 6 final tables at the WPT. No trophies from the WPT. I do have some mementos that they gave me from the final tables, but my best finish is second so far. But I do have some other trophies from different tournaments.
Now, wasn't the Party Poker Million that you won, was that not a WPT event?
That was actually in 2002. That was the first event that Steve Lipscomb ever filmed for the Travel Channel. But it wasn't the World Poker Tour yet. After he did that, it was a success, although it wasn't really a poker show at all. It was just more of a cruise show and Travel Channel show. But he started the World Poker Tour the very next year. So technically I didn't win a WPT title because that was the year before, that was kind of what launched the WPT. And in 2003 it started, and I started playing all the WPT tournaments, or most of them. I've skipped a few. But Eric Seidel and I are the only ones that have reached 100. So we've played most of them in the last, since it started in 2003.
Now, how do your results compare to Eric's from those 100 WPT events?
Yeah, I think that Eric has a few more cashes than I do. I have more final tables than him. And neither one of us has won. I'm not sure whether he's made 2 or 3 final tables. We'd have to check the records. But I have 6, and I have a second, a third, a fifth, a sixth.
So you've won more money then?
I believe that I've won more than Eric said on the WPT, although he did win a first for $1 million. So he might be ahead of me. It might be close. We'd have to actually check it. I mean, I don't check the records every day. But I think I have about 1.7, and he's probably in that same range. So I'm not going to say I'm better or not as good as Eric Seidel, but I've certainly cashed a lot more than a lot of the big name players. Even Carlos Mortensen, who has an incredible record on the WPT, he's won the most titles. He hasn't cashed as many. Of course, he hasn't played as many as I have either. But he's certainly one of the most successful in the WPT, as well as Phil Ivey and Daniel Negreanu.
Now, there's a huge story on you that was written up that I think you said is going to be released in
Poker Pro Magazine.
Poker Pro Magazine, which details all of your accomplishments, basically compares you to a lot of these other players. You mentioned Carlos Mortensen, of course, Phil Ivey, Eric Seidel. It also points out the fact that you have won more money in tournaments than any other woman in poker.
Right.
How does it feel to be the best or the most accomplished female poker player?
How does it feel? Well, I'm a very competitive person, and I want to be the best, and I like being number one. I try not to let it go to my head, and I don't go around telling everybody I'm the greatest woman player in the world, like some people do. But I mean, I just try to let my records speak for themselves, and I feel good about how I've done. I mean, I've won 5.7 million, which is actually the top 40 for all-time players worldwide, all-time tournament poker players worldwide. So to be number 40 on the list of all-time players is certainly just as big of an accomplishment as being number one on the women's list.
So with the the Women in Poker Hall of Fame, how does that differ from the Poker Hall of Fame?
Well, it was started by Lupe Soto, who is the founder of the Lips tournaments as well, which is all ladies poker tournaments. And she wanted a way to honor women that have done extremely good things for women in poker, like Linda Johnson, who ran Card Player Magazine for many years. She thought that she was a great role model. Marcia Wagner, who worked at the Hollywood Park for a long time, promoting poker and playing in those games and being a successful poker player. Susie Isaacs, who won 2 ladies events. Cindy Violet, who's obviously a very successful high-stakes player. Jen Harmon and myself were inducted this year. Obviously, Jennifer Harmon is one of the best players in the world, high-stakes player, plays in the highest levels and been competitive for 15 years. So certainly it was an honor to be chosen along with Jennifer, because Jennifer has always been a great role model and a great player, and I've certainly proved myself over the years too. So it does feel like an honor to be able to be inducted into a Hall of Fame that honors women.
Are you also eligible for the
regular Hall of Fame?
Yeah, the regular
I wouldn't expect that I'd be nominated any time in the next few years because I'm still pretty young. Although Daniel Negreanu and Phil Ivey and some there have been some very young people, picked. Like I think even Durr last year was nominated, but they, I don't think that, obviously he's too young. They really want people that have really proven themselves over a long time for the Hall of Fame. Phil Hellmuth, I think, was the youngest in, and I think he was. I'm not sure how old he was when he was in, but I think that in general they want people that are older and proven themselves. I guess I'm old enough now that I would meet the cutoff to get in, but I would expect that over the next few years, like my friend Tom McAvoy is nominated this year. He's certainly been in poker for many years. 1983 world champion and has 4 bracelets. Dan Harrington, tremendous player and written a lot of books. Eric Seidel is also nominated. I would certainly think that those gentlemen would have a much better chance and much more deserving to be in it at this point in their career. Eric Seidel, 8 bracelets, Tom 4 bracelets. So I wouldn't want to be nominated at this point because I think they're more deserving at this point, and hopefully one day I'll have my turn at it.
So would it make sense if I started up the Men in Poker Hall of Fame?
No, because
I'm just kidding. Are there any women in the regular Hall of Fame?
Barbara Enright is in the Hall of Fame, and Jennifer Harmon's actually nominated this year, as well as Linda Johnson to be inducted. So certainly women are able to get into the Hall of Fame. Certainly it is mostly men, and it probably will maintain mostly men. I do expect that Jennifer Harmon will certainly get in at some point. Linda Johnson as well. Certainly I would hope to get in myself.
Kathy, what's your opinion on the whole the ladies tournament issue with the World Series, where a couple of men played in it? Do you think that's wrong for guys to do, or?
Yeah, I haven't really voiced my opinion publicly. I know there was a big debate with Daniel Negreanu and Andy Duke about whether the men should have played. And I really don't think the men should have played. It's a women's event. There's certainly seniors events. There's a lot of different types of events. There's certain men can play in a tournament every single day. So there's no reason for them to play the women's event. I don't think that it was really because they're trying to show men's rights. That's ridiculous. Obviously women are treated much differently in the world, in the poker world, and for the most part, the guys get to do everything they want. And I actually have played some ladies' events, and it is a lot different, but you know what? It's fun. The ladies have a good time. They're not all serious competitors that are only thinking about poker and sit there with their poker faces and never saying a word. They're having fun and it's a social experience, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that women should be able to have that.
Now, when you say that men, you said something about men always getting their way in poker or get what they want.
Well, I'm saying
poker.
It's a man's world in poker. I mean, for the most part, 97% of the players are men. I mean, all the tournaments men can enter. The only tournament is once a year, a very small buy-in, usually ladies' event that the men can't enter. There's so many tournaments. Whereas for the women, to be honest, it's not that they can't enter any event. They can enter any open event as well. But they don't tend to be playing at that high of a level and playing for that kind of stakes. Women in general like to play for lower stakes. They do it more for entertainment than for a living. Obviously myself and Jennifer Harmon, we've played for a living and been professional players, and we take the game seriously and have done very well at it. But most women, that is not their main focus. It is not their main priority. And the ladies' event is a way for them to be social and to practice their skills. And some of them really try to be good, and some of them are good. But for the most part, it's people that don't have that much experience that are having a good time.
Now, you mentioned the whole discussion between Annie and Daniel,
right,
which was made very public, especially on Twitter and things.
Yeah, I've certainly heard a lot about it, and I'm not a big gossip or anything. I don't really
Right.
hear all the gossip, but certainly I was aware of it.
My opinion is that it's bad for poker, whether or not people like each other or dislike each other. When they're going to publicly say things about the other person,
It's immature.
It hurts-
both
it hurts
Daniel
poker
and
as a
Annie, have been somewhat immature in the way they've handled it. I mean, certainly Daniel making derogatory remarks towards Annie is immature. I think that he should know better. I agree with some of the things that Daniel says, but he kind of overstates it or does it in such a critical way or a negative way. I mean, certainly using nasty, profane words is not the way to express your dislike for somebody.
Okay, last question before I want to take you to a challenge where maybe I can beat you at something. I probably have no shot beating you at poker, but you mentioned that you have a ping pong table here and that you want to try to kick my ass at ping pong.
There is a ping pong table at the rec center, so we would have to leave the house. But yeah, I would take you on a ping pong. I feel like I'd be competitive.
Okay, well, before we get to that, I want to ask, like I said, one more question.
Not like tennis that you wanted to play, which I think that you'd probably kick my butt in. But poker,
Who knows?
you might have a chance because there's some luck in poker. Even though
I would just shove all in every hand.
Well,
That's my
okay,
only chance.
I would certainly be willing to play you if you do that.
I want to ask you about sponsorships.
Okay.
So I've seen you won the Party Poker Million back in the day.
2002, that was the first big Party Poker Million tournament.
Forever ago.
Yeah.
I remember there was a Party Poker event here pretty recently that you weren't involved with.
Right.
Okay. I remember seeing you wear Poker Stars logos for...
A couple events.
Okay, in like the 08 time frame, maybe 09 or something.
They sponsored me in a few events.
Okay.
And yeah.
What's your take on sponsorships? Is that something that you're interested in, or are you do you
I don't
prefer
currently
not
have
to
a
endorse
sponsor.
any sites?
I currently don't have a sponsor. I haven't been approached by any site that's offered me the type of deal that actually, I have had some short-term deals. I did have a deal with Interpoker, which was actually a deal for 2 years, which was a very good deal, and I was very happy with them and very loyal to them for 2 years. But when the UIGEA came out, unfortunately, they left the United States market, so I lost them as a sponsor then. And for a brief while, I had some deals with PokerStars and Party Poker, but at that time they were not really doing long-term deals. And
they're really still not, for the most part, with a couple of exceptions.
Right. Obviously, Full Tilt has a lot of sponsored players. PokerStars has some. UB has a few. The reasons why I'm not with those sites, there's varied reasons that would probably take a while to delve into about why I might not be with any of those sites. But certainly if the right site came along and the right opportunity came along, I'm open to sponsorship. It's just I haven't found that opportunity yet and haven't been approached by... when I was with Interpoker, to be honest, they treated me great. I mean, it was a great relationship. And I don't think the other sites were willing to offer me that kind of great relationship, where they really take care of you and pay for all your tournaments and pay for all your travel, at that point. So...
Well, if I had a site, you would be one of the first people that I would go to for sponsorship.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think although you're so accomplished, I still feel like you're one of the more underrated players on the circuit?
I mean, as we all know, I don't get as much attention on ESPN. They don't focus on me, even though I have won more money than any other woman. And that's partly because I don't ask for the attention. I want the attention. When I go to play poker, I'm not really talking to the cameras a lot. I'm not telling jokes or doing little sound bites. I'm usually not dressed up or wearing a lot of makeup or trying to look sexy. I'm just there to play poker. So a lot of times the women that do attract the cameras, do tend to dress up more, and so they get more attention. So, the sponsors want to go for the people that get more attention, which is understandable, but I do have a great record, and I do feel like I'm a great role model for women in poker. And sure, I think I deserve a good sponsorship deal, but it has to be one where the company and I really are on the same page and we get along and it makes sense and, it's a great relationship, because I don't want to just wear a patch and not have it mean anything.
Right. Awesome. Well, on that note, let's head over to the rec center and play some ping pong.
Okay.
And we'll talk more then.
Zero to a shutout. 3-0. Hold on. 3-0. Don't get 3 more. Don't get 4 more zeros in a row. Technically 7-0 is a shutout, but we can keep going to 11. We want to get at least 1 point before the game is over.
Might have helped me out.
Okay, if we get a game to 11, you don't get 1 point. That's gonna be embarrassing. You got 1 point. You got 1 point. It'd be really embarrassing if the game is 11-0. But you did get one. That's good. Good job. Not bad. Hey, 10-1. I mean 11-1. Not bad. Not a bad showing. You got a point off of me.
Is it still my
I
turn?
got distracted for a second. It's over.
Oh, it is?
11-1. Play till 11. Don't play till 20. Oh, almost.
Table's not hard enough.
Yeah, you're hitting it too hard. Okay, 0-10. 10-0. This is game point. You have to hit it this time.
Okay.
You have to get it on that
Maybe
table.
it's served to me
Okay, that's the game. Okay, so the first one you got 1 point, and the second one you got 0 points. So you lose.
This is kind of a woman's sport anyway. This isn't a man's
Well,
sport.
you know what? It used to be
No wonder
kinda
you're in
cute.
the women's hall
It used
of
to be
fame.
cute,
This is a women's
but now
sport.
that you've lost all this weight, it looks too skinny. I mean, eat a cheeseburger, eat a donut. Really, you do. You look skinny.
I am skinny.
I know,
I
but-
lost like 15 pounds.
You know what?
I wasn't even trying.
Look at you. Your face is thin. Your body is thin.
Is it that bad?
You need some weight.
Okay,
I
I'll
like it
gain
better
some
when
weight.
when you liked the cheeseburger.
I'll put some weight on just for
You know, I mean, if we ever went to dinner, what are you gonna do? Order a salad, not having dessert?
Believe me, it's
Come
not.
on.
It's not from what I eat. It's just exercise.
No.
I exercise
I
too
don't
much.
believe you. I don't think you eat the same stuff I eat. We talked about this. He doesn't like butter. He doesn't like bread. He doesn't like chocolate. I mean, how could you live like
Ladies
that?
and gentlemen, Kathy Liebert. All right, thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Under the Gun. Make sure to tune in again next week. And until then, send me those hands to underthegun@cardplayer.com. Have a good week. I'll see you guys next week.